Music. Annually, it's a $40 billion industry. Personally, it's a way of life. And culturally, it is culture. In the past century, music has seen a lot of change. But the first question we can really ask is, what is music?
What is music? That's a tough one.
Music could be anything as far as, I know it's really cliche, but it's true, like birds chirping or even babies crying.
To me, music is the combination of rhythm and melody, which serves several different functions. But I suppose essentially it's a way of expressing things that can't be expressed verbally.
Music is many different things to different people, you know. To me, music's been an entire lifetime because I've played guitar since 1961, like my 9th birthday. Music can be thought of as a language. And in fact, it very much is a language. If you think about it, I mean, music has its own alphabet. Music has its own set of mathematics, which is referred to as harmony. Music has its own sentence structure, like you hear musicians talking in terms of musical phrasing. So, in many ways, music can be considered a language, and especially when you're learning how to read music, it's as if you are learning a new language, and you really have to approach it that way. Music can be a very joyful thing. It can be a very emotional thing. There's like, you know, major keys and minor keys. Major keys are generally thought of as being kind of happy keys, whereas minor keys tend to be a little sadder, or sometimes even kind of menacing. So music is just so many different things.
How I think music has changed over the years is obviously in style, but you know, it's always.
Well, I guess what I would say is it's gone from more of a, it's really become more of a do-it-yourself sort of enterprise. You know, when I first started, people, if they wanted to record music, they would have to rent expensive studios and pay a lot of money to produce an album. Whereas these days, everything is computer-based, and so everybody has access to it, and everybody can record on their home computers. And so the landscape has changed completely.
Music is those type of things that's like evolves, kind of like technology. So like, it's a forever changing thing, and it's, you know, it's like.
The best way to answer that is to answer that yourself.
You don't really know where it's going, but most people don't usually care because it's music, and people like music a lot. So whether it changes or stays the same, it's always music.
Music is constantly changing. You know, it never ends. That's you know, about the best way that I can think of to answer that question. Listen for yourself. Check out how music has evolved over the last 50 years.
You know, certain people like rock, certain people like pop, you know, people like hip hop, and it's not too different.
Those things are always going to exist, and I think they have to exist, otherwise it would be incredibly boring. You know, back before syndication, there was different radio stations would only reach a certain demographic, and so they kind of define the sounds for those regions.
There's some modern pop music that I think is great. I almost hate to say it, but I have a couple of students who are really into Taylor Swift, and I never thought that I lived to say this, but some of her stuff isn't too bad. I respect her because she writes a lot of her own material, and I respect anybody who writes their own songs. It may not be something that I would run right out and buy a CD of, but you got to respect people that write their own material.
Well, hip hop it's how do I say this? It was just a way for the African American culture to express themselves through basic drum melodies, drum rhythms. So like it's kind of a combination of poetry and just drums, basically, and it just grew upon from there. People just thought it's a good way to express themselves, so that's basically how hip-hop started.
Another thing which is kind of interesting is how, with the advent of iTunes, it's sort of back to the 50s again, where it was all about the single and hearing it through these, these crummy little speakers. It's sort of back to the single again when we're listening to it through these tiny computer speakers. But to answer your question, I think there's more crossover now than there used to be. When it first started, when people first started making records, if you were black, you were making blues music. If you were white, you were making country music. And it was just a way to market things. And so really, at the end of the day, I think that's really what the genres are, is a way to market things. Like you can kind of figure out who your audience is. But certainly these days there's much more crossover than there's ever been. People like Taylor Swift, like they're a country artist, but they're played on pop radio. So it's, where's the line? Which is, I think that's good. I think it keeps everybody kind of, thinking about other things than what they're actually doing.
I saw a movie one time called Last Waltz, and the interviewer was asking this drummer what kind of music the band played, and he says, "Well, it's a little bit of spiritual, it's a little bit of R&B, and it's a little bit of this, a little bit of that." And he said, "Well, what do you call it?" He says, "Well, rock and roll."